Welcome to Verbier, home to some of the world's best big mountain terrain and the legendary Xtreme Verbier. For the last 2.5 decades, the steep and jagged 600-metre rock face of the Bec de Rosses has played host to the grand final of the Freeride World Tour. It's a unique event because there's no face like that.
It's the biggest, burliest face in the world that you'll ever have a freeride comp on.
The whole atmosphere is pretty magical itself.
Just like so nervous at being up there, and it's wind and it's cold because you did that 2-hour hike. You've been stressed for the whole morning, probably didn't sleep the night before.
Each year, it was always the same terror. I always have the same terror when I go there.
One misstep during a run could be the difference between walking away or flying away in a helicopter, so it's not that fun.
And suddenly we're looking up and it comes just a big snow cloud through the rocks. We just, whoa, avalanche!
It's super steep. There are so many lines and big cliffs. This is freeriding.
The Bec de Rosses for me is scary, amazing and beautiful.
This is what we have been working for the whole season. Qualify for the grand finale here in Verbier, skiing the Bec de Rosses, which is a serious face.
The Bec de Rosses is unique in freeriding. It has a huge face, starting at 3,223 metres and finishing at 2,600 metres, meaning a huge vertical drop of 600 metres that leaves even the fittest athletes exhausted by the time they cross the finish line. The Bec is seriously steep, averaging 45 degrees and maxing out at 55 degrees. The face is littered with rocks, cliffs and dead-end chutes, making the descent a confusing and dangerous maze of options for the riders. Add to this that there's no practice run down the face and that line choice is based only on observation, which is even harder from 1.5 kilometres away.
The biggest challenges of the Bec is the top is just unbelievably steep. You know, you're dragging your arms, it's so steep. And then there's no landmarks, there's no trees, it's just all rock on a big open face. So to find your way down that and find your way with speed and fluidity is an incredible mental challenge. It takes so much experience to be able to figure out how to get down it safely.
To help them figure out their line choice, riders break the face down into a series of zones and features. The first zone is the central couloir, which features 2 main lines, one on the right down the middle, which culminates in the Hollywood Cliff, and another variation which ends in the Gilles Voireau Cliff, both of which appeal to riders looking to take a technical and spectacular line. The next main zone of the Bec is the dogleg couloir, appealing to riders looking for a faster, more fluid line with options for drops. Further options branch off to the rider's right-hand side. The third zone, the so-called heart zone, demands plenty of concentration and focus. The face also has numerous cliffs, features and entry points, all of which a rider can weave into their run and use to help navigate their way safely down the face.
It's a fine mix for these athletes to push themselves to their limits, but not too much, because consequences exist. If you push too much, the consequences can be quite severe. So, I mean, they train all year, and only the best come here to Verbier.
As the Verbier Xtreme developed, so did the sport of freeriding, bringing a new level of professionalism to the way it was judged. Unlike other alpine sports, freeriding is not a race and is not about timing. Instead, riders are judged by a group of highly trained individuals, all of whom have expertise in freeriding themselves and who mark the run from 1 to 100 using several criteria. One criteria the judges look for is line choice, whether the rider took a challenging technical line and made use of all of the terrain, or if they just charged straight down to the finish. Fluidity of the run is also key. The next criteria is air and style. Here, the judges are looking at the number and critically the size of the jumps, plus the rider's control in the air. The judges also ask, was the jump stylish? And did the rider make a smooth landing? Or did they discover a new terrain feature on the mountain? Control is the strictest criteria because it directly affects rider safety. A controlled run down the mountain scores highly, whereas a wild seat-of-your-pants run littered with mistakes is heavily docked. Technique is the last of the criteria, rewarding riders who make confident turns down the face and avoid getting flushed down the hill. Stay tuned for the next episode of Xtreme Verbier and the history of the world's most legendary freeride event.